We're live on DSTV, channel 421, Go TV 144. This is Joy News Prime with me, Ernest Mino. Our headlines this hour. Double track officially abolished, but we asked tonight whether the existing infrastructure can accommodate the students.
That whole idea of double track, where within 1 year group you had 2 cohorts, this time around we are not going to have anything of such an arrangement.
Meanwhile, stranded parents and students fume at GES officials after it emerges placement challenges are yet to be addressed 7 days after it was set up.
I want boarding for my child, but the attendees are being rude.
Also in this package, 3 persons arrested for clashes over mining activities at Sunafu in the eastern region, which resulted in the death of 1 person. We'll hear from the DC of the area. Meanwhile, residents of Nkrofo in the western region say they feel shortchanged by Adamos Resources Limited after 1 person died in mining-related clash there. And later here on Joy News Prime, justice delayed. The story of a nurse who is reeling from the adverse impact of a devastating accident. 2 years on, the police is yet to process her case.
IGP
should assist me in obtaining justice. He should help so my case can be processed to court.
At 8 p.m., I'll hand over to Charles for Prime Business. Charles, what should we look forward to?
Well, tonight, the Peasant Farmers Association is sounding an alarm of impending food shortages should government include the Agric Ministry in its 20% government cut.
We know that there are economic crisis at the moment. There are challenges. So the Minister of Finance giving a directive that there should be expenditure cut by the ministries, 20%. We believe that the Agric Ministry should not be packed.
Charles has details at 8 p.m. and at 8:30 we have Prime Sports for Yoreku. What's up next?
Well, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagwin, says the plot to bring down Kwesi Nyantakyi has destroyed football in Ghana.
When we were able to bring down Kwesi Nyantakyi, we also brought down Ghana football.
Controversial comment there, but Rick will bring you the details. I'm Ernest Mino, and this is your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Stay tuned for details. Hello again, thanks for joining us. Now, the double track system will not be implemented for the first-year students reporting to senior high schools for the 2022-2023 academic year. That's according to the Education Ministry. We have more on that shortly, but first an update on the computerized school selection and placement system. Many JHS graduates and their parents are yet to have their concerns addressed. Mamiesi Thompson was at the Nat Hall in Accra, where scores of them have come to seek solutions. Here's her report.
I want boarding for my child, but the attendees are being rude.
This parent was losing it at the Nat Hall after several attempts to get her child's status changed from day to boarding yielded no results. For her transportation will be a major hurdle.
My child chose boarding but was given day status. Now it's going to be difficult to afford his transportation, let alone his feeding fees. That's close to 300 cedis. How am I going to fund it?
And so what the money feeding fee or the baby, money feeding for 10 cedis and to me so just a woman of 20 cedis, or they can 65 cedis. Say 60 cedis could pay a week 3 million. A professor can Eddie Masabo for any son of and then
With this parent, his son had been placed in a girls' school and is here to make the correction. But after hours of waiting, his case is yet to be resolved.
Onya 38, no woman girls' school or Elembele.
My son had a grade 38 and was given a girls' school at Elembele.
Girls' school of Elembele. I'm in Basami change man. But so far as they say that their name is sent to Elembele, we have to come here and change the replacement before we can go to. That's why we are trying to get, but we didn't get it yet.
But it wasn't all gloomy for some of the students that came here. For this lady, she initially didn't get any of her choice schools. But now she has one and is very much content.
I chose Infantimai as my first choice, Kumasi Wesley Girls as my second choice, Ghana National as my third choice, Pentecost Senior High School as my fourth choice, St. Mary's as my fifth, and Accra Wesley Girls as my fourth. But I didn't get any of them, so I just came here to check whether I will get one. And they gave me an instruction to follow, to choose 3 C schools and present them to their table. But I did everything and I got one.
The program received about 2,000 complaints this year from all over the country. According to Deputy Coordinator of the Free Senior High School program, some of the challenges are technical. Nana Afresika Mensa assures that all issues will be resolved by close of next week.
We can't choose a school outside the choices you made. We will give you a school within the choices that you've made. But you know, parents, and even as human, you always ask for more. We are not satisfied with whatever choices you have. You place them in their third choice, they will tell you we don't like it, we like either the first or the second. But you know, it's the system that we use to work. It's not a manual thing that you, like we have preferential treats for people. Let's treat these people separately or differently from each other. It's just the system. So it's the system that we use to run. And the system will place you at the choice where necessary.
For Joy News, Mamisi Thompson.
Now, a former rector of GIMPA, Professor Philip Ebo Bonzi Simpson, is pushing for a change of the computer placement system in senior high schools. He wants heads of the schools to be allowed to admit their own students, just as authorities in basic and tertiary levels are allowed to. Professor Bonzi Simpson was speaking at Infantipim Stakeholders Forum in Cape Coast, from where correspondent Richard Kuchinyako reports.
The Infantipim Forum is a forum initiated by the school, its old boys, the church, and other major stakeholders to think about the school and the educational system being run currently in the country. Former rector of GIMPA and an old boy of Infantipim, Professor Philip Bonzi Simpson indicated there was a need for an evaluation of the computerized school selection placement system, as the system does not take into account those whose contributions have made the school what it is now. Professor Bonzi Simpson believes the system is unfair and destroying the traditions of the school, apart from the human interferences in the process that are putting many stakeholders of the school at a greater disadvantage.
If in Ghana, out of all the levels of school, is only secondary school that there's computer placement, there is a time for us to evaluate it. Those computers who operate them, is it not human beings? Is it not human beings? The school authorities, the headmaster, should be allowed within a certain framework, a majority, of course, on merit. But there's a place for all students. There's a place for the church. There's a place for children of staff. There's a place, a small portion for protocol. The school authorities should be allowed within a certain framework to admit their own students. And who said when they were admitting their own students, they were admitting chaff? And who said when computer admits them, they are necessarily admitting geniuses? There's need for evaluation, and if Infantipim and at a stakeholders conference like this, we can't make that case, then indeed Ghana is the poorer for it. But Infantipim will make that case, and Ghana will be the richer for it.
Domahin of Esika, the traditional area, and Anakwabnan Katia believes there is a need to overhaul the system so the values of the schools could be kept.
We are here to re-dream Infantipim. Infantipim was some people's dream. We cannot go on having the old way of seeing things. We need a new way of seeing things, because we know as an institution, this school is challenging. challenged, just like most of the schools, educational institutions in the country are challenged.
The presiding bishop of the Methodist Church Ghana, Right Reverend Paul Kwabnabuafo, stated that the Methodist Church would continue to maintain their philosophy of a holistic education.
For us, we will continue to maintain our philosophy when it comes to the message of the gospel, where we give holistic nature, holistic information, and holistic education. We are not the church that looks just at one side of the individual or of the community, but we look at the totality of the person.
Headmaster of Infante Pim School, Reverend Ebenezer Edu, told the forum that government could not shoulder the burden in the school alone and that there was the need for all stakeholders to come together. He enumerated some of the infrastructure deficits in the school.
Infante Pim is the oldest secondary school in the country, and as such, age is catching up with our infrastructure as well. A careful look or assessment of our buildings reveal that in about 5 to 10 years, we may have a huge challenge as far as our infrastructure is concerned. Some dormitory blocks, master's flats, and even the headmaster's residents are all crying for attention.
The Stakeholders Forum canvassed for the involvement of all major stakeholders in fashioning out a better educational system that could stand the test of time. Reporting for Joy News, Richard Kwejo-Nyakon, Cape Coast.
And some senior high schools in the Ashanti region are requesting expansion of classrooms and accommodation facilities as first-year students begin to report to school. Though some improvements have been recorded, the schools expect more for a comfortable teaching and learning environment. Nana Ojima visited some senior high schools in the region and now reports.
T.I. Ahmadiyya Senior High School, Kumasi, received 1,529 fresh students. As at Monday, 1,126 had been enrolled. Love News checks on the campus showed some desks in classrooms had been replaced with plastic chairs, a situation that may affect academic activities. School officials will not corroborate this observation, but say appropriate measures are being adopted to ensure the smooth running of the institution. Benjamin Chi Ampedu is assistant headmaster in charge of academics.
The school is ready, fully. Talking about food situation in the dining hall, food supply has been coming. We are not short of food, so the students are going to be fed. Parents shouldn't be worried about feeding at all. Then classroom to tomorrow morning, all the students will be taken to their classroom. Today, unfortunately, my section of the Form 1 students reported, and we have given them a place to stay. Tomorrow, fully, we shall take them to their classrooms, and classroom work will start.
At the Sakafia Islamic Senior High School, students continue to trickle in for enrollment. With the expansion of school facilities, the number of enrollment has increased. Headmaster Mohammed Shahid believes improving infrastructure will help improve education in the Zongo communities.
With regard to food, the infrastructure so far, we have not having any challenges. In fact, food is still coming. Food is still coming. You know, the first 30 years have finished their quarter. The first quarter they've gone, and we never had any food challenge. Food keeps on coming. As yesterday, food came. This month, also food came again. Maybe the stores is still receiving food. Without food, don't have problem. Just as the infrastructure issue. As the cafe has now come one of the best schools. All of the previous one, you don't get even 15% of the students. But we are getting about 90% of the students reporting. And yet still, being a mission school, people from various angles, from Zongo community, this is a central point of Zongo, where every Zongo person likes it because of what is happening here. With regard to academic excellence when it comes to academic work. So people are responding. Our chiefs, our imams, I also keep on making requests, which I'll soon put before the minister. I want to thank the Minister of Education so much and the Ghana Education Service.
Meanwhile, other schools in the region have similar responses in terms of enrollment. Academic activities is expected to start on Tuesday in some schools. For Joy News, Nanaya Ochima reporting.
Now, despite the concerns raised by the schools, the Education Ministry says the double-track system will no longer be a feature of the senior high school system beginning this academic year. According to Kwesi Kwarteng, who speaks for the ministry, government has expanded infrastructure in the schools to make this possible. He starts by first addressing the concerns of the CSSPS.
So clearly, based on the Ghana Education Service and the Ghana TVS timetable, which came out earlier on, you will recall that 4th, which is today, marks the day that our first-year students are scheduled to join their colleagues in their various schools. That is the Form 2s and Form 3s who are already in school. As they join them in school, we also encourage those that have outstanding issues relative to the school placement to visit our resolution centers or call our call centers for our officers to attend to them accordingly. Our call centers and our resolution centers will continue to be operationalized or operational even as students are going to school. So our outstanding issues can be referred to them. But then, of course, I mean, clearly questions have also come out as to whether or not double track is going to be maintained as the first years go to school. I mean, obviously, if you refer to the earlier timetable that came out, that whole idea of double track, where within 1 year group you had 2 cohorts, this time around we are not going to have anything of such an arrangement. So where we had green track being in school at some point, and then later on the vacate and then the gold logo enters the school, we are not going to have such an arrangement. But at least it demonstrates that this time around we have significant level of infrastructure that students are going to take advantage of. So that whole idea of double track, where within a year group we divide into 2 cohorts, is going to be a thing of the past within this year's arrangement.
They are coming. And Kofi J of our research desk has been looking at the double-track system, what necessitated it, what the deficit was, and what was promised, and of course, what has been done so far. Kofi, what have you uncovered so far?
Right, so let's start with the free SHS enrollment from 2017 to 2022. That's the projected. So as of 2020, from 2017 to 2020, the enrollment was around 1.2 million students, and this increased to 1.26 million as of 2021. Now, this is projected to hit 1.32 million this year, NS.
Okay.
So we've also been looking at, infrastructure as far as secondary level education is concerned. So we had a total of 1,135, projects, and of which 657 are completed and 478 are still under construction. And we can talk of dormitories, we can talk of administration blocks and classroom blocks that are being constructed. And so we've also been looking at the TVET. So you know that the first year students of the newly aligned TVET institutions will fully be enrolled onto the free SHS scheme. That's 2021-2022 academic year. So it means that they're supposed to reduce the enrollment pressure we have on the free, the traditional SHS as well. Now we've also been looking at the public, secondary schools. So how many public secondary schools do we have at the moment? As of this September 2021, we had a total of 678 public senior high schools teachers.
679?
79, exactly. 679, public SHS as of September 2021. And if you look at teachers, 58,190 of them. And students as of September 2021 was around 1.26 million.
That's a huge figure.
Yeah. So if you should do a quick math here, and that would mean that the teacher to students ratio as of September 2021 was around 1 teacher is to 22 students.
I see. And so as far as the completed projects are concerned, if you could just go back to that slide, you have 478 that are still under construction.
Exactly.
Okay.
So even a majority of them, according to the ministry's own program-based budget, says the majority of them, which is 657, have been completed, and we spoke about dormitories, classroom blocks, and
assembly halls, dining halls, and some, accommodation for teachers as well. And this data is as of September 2021,
and it's from the ministry's own program-based budget.
Okay, Kofi, thank you very much for bringing us, that data. Let's now turn our attention to mining. That is Esunafo in the eastern region. Joy News is learning that police in the region have arrested 3 people following a deadly clash that left one person killed, with several others sustaining various degrees of injury in that mining community. The factions clashed over disagreement on whether or not to cede part of their community for government's community mining project. There's still heightened tension in the community 3 days after the violent clashes and the subsequent reprisal there. A dissect meeting was held this afternoon in a bid to find some solution to the issues raised. Let's get some more details on that. Joining us via Zoom is the District Chief Executive for Etiwa West, Seth Asante, who chaired that meeting. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Joy News Prime. So, first of all, give us an update on the situation. Apart from the persons killed, what was the update on those who have been injured? How many, and how are they responding to treatment?
Good evening to you and all your viewers. We have had this unfortunate incident of a clash among community members, those who want to do mining in the area of Esunafo and those who are against it. Unfortunately, there was a clash on Friday morning. There was a shooting and some got injured. Initially, we had 8 people. I think one person died and the other sustained various degrees of injury. I went there on Friday evening after a meeting to see them. By the time I got there, some had been discharged. There was only one person at the emergency hospital.
Okay.
And then 2 others had been transferred to the regional capital, Computerized Hospital.
Okay.
I went there the following day and they were responding to treatment. I quickly mobilized all the interested parties. Those who want to do the community mining, some of the miners we know who have got concessions there, and then those ladies who reported to me on the 28th of this last month and reported that there were various concerns. We had a dissect meeting, we had all the parties, and we invited some officials from the Minerals Commission, and they came to also join the meeting.
Okay.
Initially we had a mini silence in respect of the dead. It's very sad that we lost a very young man in the community. After the deliberations, I made it very clear to them that violence is not the way to resolve community issues, and that dialogue is the best way to go. I brought it to them to understand, much as, hello?
Yes, we are listening to you, sir.
You are listening?
Yes, sir.
We are a farming community, and therefore, we take the concerns of the farmers into consideration. At the same time, we have laws governing mining, which should also be respected. I did explain to them that this community mining concept was brought up by government to actually curb the menace of the Galamsey system that we have. So we explained it to them that there is a need for us to sit down and dialogue so that all the issues involved are concerned.
Do I get a sense? Do I get a sense, sir, that at the dissect meeting, you resolved to push through with the community mining project despite the resistance from some sections of the community?
Well, there are 2 issues. The community is divided. There are a number of persons who want to do mining, and there are those who do not want to do mining. The unfortunate thing is that they are not meeting to even iron out their differences so that we can see the concerns of each party and address them vis-a-vis the mining operations that are coming up. So we brought it to bear on them that we have to organize a community meeting and listen to their concerns so that we take all that into consideration and satisfy the interests of both sides.
Very well. But on the specific incident that generated the clashes, some of the community people we've spoken to are accusing the police of siding with the miners or those who are in favor of the community mining. Did that come up at the DISEC meeting, and how was that resolved?
That is not correct.
Okay.
The police is not on the side of any party.
Okay.
The police is very impartial. In fact, these troubles started way down, I think, 2013. The community was unified against mining. Along the line, some have changed their mind because they have seen the benefits of mining in other areas. So some are for the mining and others are not. Incidentally, you could see that the chief, the unit committee, the assemblyman, all the leaders and a number of the youth are in for mining.
Okay.
Those who are not for mining say, we will not sit down with you because we just don't want mining. And that has created this problem.
And have there been any arrests following that incident?
Pardon?
Have there been any arrests?
There have been, 3 people have been arrested.
Okay.
The person who shot the gun has been identified. They know him. Even the victims know him. And he's now at large, and we are looking for him.
Very well. I'm grateful for your time. I'm grateful for your time here on Joy News Prime. That's the DC for Etiwa West there speaking to us on the incident at Esunafo. We'll be following up and bring you details in our subsequent bulletins. But let's take you now to the western region, specifically to Elembele, where one person was shot dead when violence erupted at the Nkrofo District Magistrate Court, where some 28 miners had been taken for mining in the concession of Adamos Resources Limited. A police station on and other state properties were vandalized by the irate youth. Residents say they feel shortchanged by the activities of the mining company at Nkrofo. The Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare, was in the town to assess the situation himself over the weekend. He said the police is determined to enforce the law irrespective of who's involved.
Rest assured, anybody, big or small, anybody, big or small, who is involved in this, one by one, where it has to be 2 by 2, where it has to be 3 by 3, all of them to the justice. There are processes and procedures for registering grievances and for grievances to be resolved. Nobody can hold institutions, individuals hostage for purposes of getting what they think belongs to them that they have not justified. So we came to make that point.
Yeah.
We came to make that point to let you be assured that everything that we need to do in terms of protecting every law-abiding citizen will be done. And everything that we need to do in terms of taking lawless people out of the society and for them to face justice will also be done. So at the end of the day, everybody knows that there's nobody who is above them. So we'll go and we'll engage the chief and the elders. We'll find opinion leaders and also engage them as we start the process of arresting each and every one of them. By day, by night, by dawn. We'll get the people who decide. So let anybody come forward and decide to be the person who wants to stop us from doing the right in terms of getting these people and bringing them to book. Don't even go there. Just leave it out. You can go to sleep on that. You can go to sleep on that. The rest is in your pocket.
Okay.
When we bring them before you.
Joining us now via Zoom is the convener of the Concerned Citizens of Nzima Descent, Elizabeth Elua Va. Thank you, madam, for your time you're joining this prime. What really are the concerns of residents about the activities of Adamos Resources? Yes, they say they feel shortchanged, but what are the specific details?
So Adamos has been in the area since 2011 when it got bought by Endeavor. And then it was handed over to BCM Group, 90%, and the Ghana government 10% in 2017. Since then, if you look at the concessions map of Ghana, the entire Elambale, from Ankobra to Eziama up, is all given to Adamos. Now, the community of Telekubukazo, Anya, and Akango, and Nkrofo, the entire community, including the township, is an Adamos concession. The people, they have no other means of earning a living. There's no land to farm. There's no land to do anything. There are gullies everywhere you go in those communities. Right now, we've had one young lady fall in one of those pits in Telekubukazo and die. Nothing happened. A young man died in Akango. Nothing happened. Recently, a young man was burnt alive in Telekubukazo. Nothing happened. And the most recent one, there had been some arrests of young men who had gone to the pit. It's an abandoned pit, I'm told. And so they were chased by Adamos militia. It's like we are under an occupying force.
Well, we cannot independently verify this claim that these are militia, created or established by Adamos.
Yeah. So they are security guards for Adamos. And so they arrested these young men, took them to the court. This was a court, the people had been there. They were not rioting. And then for one reason or another, a bullet a gun is shot, and a young man, this guy wasn't even part of those miners, I'm told. He was hit and he died. So out of the frustration, these people just jumped on whatever was available. And for the IGP to come over, be more interested in the louvers that were broken compared to the young man who is in the mortuary now. He didn't even mention him.
Well, the IGP has said that the law will be enforced, but I'm wondering what you have done as leaders of the community by way of engaging Adamos, for instance, with some of the issues that you're raising. Have you engaged them at all, and have they listened?
It's been going on, Maxwell. It's been going on, and so if they had listened, I haven't seen the impact of it.
But have you met them? Have you met them?
Yes, our MP has met them, the DCE, the youth, and our various groups. We have an Nzima Kunyaleku. Various Nzima groups have tried to meet with them and come to a peaceful settlement. But nothing of that has happened. And we continue to see this over and over. But let me give you a quick background. So long as this continues, where the entire community is being given out to one company as its concession, so that most of the youth in those areas are now illegal on their own land. What do you expect?
Well, we'll leave it here for now. Adamos has released a statement. Let me bring you details. Madam, I'm grateful for your time. Adamos Resources Limited says it will work with all stakeholders to promote responsible and sustainable mining and ensure that the clash does not recur. The statement says the attention of Adamos Resources Limited has been drawn to an unfortunate incident that occurred on the premises of the Magistrates Court in Nkrofo on April 1, 2022. We understand that this incident followed an attempt by security officials of the state to control a storming crowd at the forecourt of the law court, and that one person sadly lost his life with others sustaining injuries. This incident happened when some illegal miners who had been arrested on our concession were appearing in court for the first time. Our thoughts are with the family of the deceased, and it's our hope that the injured will recover soon. We will continue to work with all stakeholders to promote responsible and sustainable mining and ensure that this undesirable occurrence does not recur. You're watching Joy News Prime with me, Shs Enrollment. Still to come, justice delayed. The story of a nurse who is reeling from the impact of a devastating accident. 2 years on, the police is yet to process her case.
IGP should assist me in obtaining justice. He should help so my case can be processed to court.
We have details of this story plus the latest in Parliament after the break. Please stay with us. Now, President Akufo-Addo has justified his government's introduction of the electronic transaction levy, saying it had become necessary for it to tax the mobile money industry, which had never been taxed until now. The tax, which has been opposed by sections of the public, with some describing it as obnoxious tax, was passed last week by Parliament. Now, the minority NDC is challenging its passage in court. But speaking to Peter Okocha of the BBC on Focus Africa, the president dismissed the suggestions that it will further impoverish the people.
The digital economy, the mobile economy.
Yes, but you're taxing people on money that has already been taxed.
Is the biggest economy is emerging as the biggest economy in the country, and for a long period has not had any taxation at all. So it is important now that they also come into the net. Our country has one of the lowest tax to GDP ratios of any country in West Africa and of an equivalent economy. The ECOWAS area, the general average today, tax to GDP average is about 18%. Ghana, we're at 13%. So since if you're talking about a country which is already overtaxed, if anything at all, is undertaxed.
Okay, let me take you up on that point. You know, on your low tax ratio to GDP. I'm just going to quote. Read this quote to you. It's from John Kwache, who I'm sure you might know is the Director of Research at the Accra-based Institute for Economic Affairs. He says there are several loopholes in our tax system that, if they are plugged, will be able to raise our tax to GDP ratio to something like 20% from the 12% that you're talking about.
Well, first of all,
are you speaking to experts like him?
First of all, there's a recognition that
no, but he's actually saying, I didn't read all of it. He says that there's no need for the e-levy.
Well, that's his point of view.
He's an expert.
But he's an expert. There are experts in government as well, and we think it's necessary, and that's the reason why we...
You think it's necessary to tax people who are already impoverished?
And they're not already impoverished. We're talking about people. We're talking about taxing an industry. And transactions where a lot of value is being created, and we want to also bring that value into government coffers. I think that is something that is there's nothing so, and the levy, it's not Ghana, it's the only country that has something like a mobile, a digital tax. Many countries, they will not like it. People never...
Because they're already taxing people who do business online, and then you are taxing as well.
Very little. People never like taxes. I don't know any group of people, especially businesses, when taxes are brought to them that like.
Let's go to Parliament now, and some MPs have described as problematic the ruling of the Speaker, Alban Badmin, that MPs can be marked as present if they're within the presence of Parliament. This was after the Adenta MP Mohammed Adamu Ramadan raised concerns over the name of Domekwabnya MP Sarah Josephel being marked present in the vote and proceedings for last Friday. The concern sharply divided the MPs over the true interpretation of the Speaker's ruling. We'll hear from the MP shortly as they debated this on the floor. But first, listen to the Speaker on what his ruling is.
Honourable members, attendance of members is to Parliament, not
floor of the Chamber of Parliament. The law lords who ruled earlier on, most of these things are happening because of the recent judgment of the Supreme Court. And that is the good reason why I asked for a review. The work of a member of Parliament in Parliament is not restricted to the floor of the chamber. Much of the work of Parliament is done at the committee level. And that is why when it comes to the time of voting, the bell is rung for 10 minutes so that at the committee meetings, members can leave the committee meetings and come and vote. You can be on the floor. You can visit the washroom. You can go to attend your constituents. You are in Parliament. Being in Parliament means being in the presence of Parliament.
So that is the Speaker's ruling. Let's now hear from some of the MPs who have taken issue with this determination.
Speaker, just out of curiosity, Sarah Adjosafo has been marked as present. If you move on to page 7, I realize that if you move on to the next page, on page 8, it's the first time since I came to this house that I've seen that members, there are no members absent without permission. I don't know whether the table office is giving effect to the Speaker's rule of you don't have to be physically present in the chamber to be captured, because I don't know if Sarah Joseph is back in this jurisdiction. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I also observe that there's nobody absent without permission. There's a mix-up in the calling, but certainly there are people who may have been absent without permission. The table office will verify and make the appropriate corrections.
I don't think the Speaker's ruling was that members could be absent or could be present without being on the floor. What he said was that you don't sign. The signing is not mandatory. It is for you to be on the floor, for you to be captured, but not that he said you don't need to be in the chamber.
We all know, and it's been Speaker upon Speaker's conclusion that when you come to the chamber, the first thing you should do is to sign. And you, Speaker, you have also said the same thing, that for anybody to come to this house, chamber, and go for a committee meeting, it will not be recorded as being in attendance in the chamber. So for a new ruling that you can be anywhere at all within the premises, and that will be counted as coming to Parliament or being in the chamber, Mr. Speaker, I think this House must take a decision on this. Otherwise, we cannot be in our offices and then claim that we come to Parliament.
We resolve all these matters. Not that e-levy, either it is passed or not. Even myself, I don't know. When a member comes in, he will log in. If you are leaving, you logged out. And we can just check all these things. And we will bring an end to this Balu, we are making suggestions, the Princess of Parliament, members stay in the office, and giving some ruling which doesn't sit well with all of us. Speaker, how can you be in the office and you tell me you are on the floor of the House?
A vehicle veered off the road and knocked her down while she was waiting to board public transport. The driver committed to funding her treatment, but only paid 7,000 cedis out of the required 20,000 Ghana cedis. The police promised to give her justice, but for 2 years, her case has not been processed for court. That's the story of a nurse, Mavis Aka, whose nursing career has been brought to a standstill. For now, she needs 30,000 Ghana cedis for an urgent surgery, else she will lose her leg. Ifwa Apreko Abuafo has the rest of the story.
Going to washroom, no cry, mebre.
Mavis Aka fights back her tears. Brooding on her almost perfect life 2 years ago makes her sad. The 28-year-old nurse recalls that while waiting to board public transport, a vehicle out of nowhere crashed into her and dislocated her hip bone. She has spent 2 years trying to heal and to get back on her feet.
After work, I was waiting to board a vehicle when a passenger car slammed into me from behind. The tires pulled out and the car sat on my legs for 2 hours.
For about 2 hours. The man who knocked her down, Anthony Inwagu, popularly called Oga, tried fleeing, but passers-by apprehended him. The police at Anya was supposed to process the case for court, but that never happened. According to Mavis, Oga agreed to take care of a hospital bill of 20,000 cedis, but lately reneged on his promise.
Oga attempted running away but was stopped by passers. Arrangements were made between Oga and the social welfare to pay my discharge bill of 20,000 cedis, but he only paid 7,000. To date, he hasn't made any further payments.
Discharge bill, no. Apart from that, Mavis is angry because Oga has refused to accept responsibility for the damages caused her. She's also unhappy with how Anya Police Station is handling the case. She says justice has not been served. My family took out loans to take care of me. Oga is always talking about how he doesn't have money. On the day of my hearing, my family and I waited for ASP Achu at the Anya Police Station, but he never showed up. He has not processed my case to court. She tells of how her predicament is affecting her livelihood and family. My family has to be at home all the time to help me. This is affecting their work schedules. I'm not married and I'm young. How will I be able to give birth if my hip bone is damaged? Oga has caused me and my family so much grief. The Anya police says they have concluded investigations and are now ready to prosecute the matter. They added the case had not been processed to court because Mavis was receiving treatment outside Accra. But Mavis Aka says the police never reached out to her, even when she told them that she had returned to Accra. They have never called me. She's calling on the Inspector General of Police to ensure that she gets justice. IGP should assist me in obtaining justice. He should help so my case can be processed to court. For now, Mavis Aka needs 25,000 cedis for urgent surgery, else her left leg will be amputated. Doctors estimate that I will require around 30,000 cedis to have surgery. Any manner the public can assist me with the surgery will be greatly appreciated. I'm afraid of having my leg amputated. Ifwa Aprikua Boafo's report read to you.
My name is Shs Enrollment and this is Johnny's Prime. We're taking a break. On Word 10, we have the latest in showbiz. Don't go away. Thanks for staying with us here on Johnny's Prime. My brother IB is here with the latest in showbiz. And I know you're definitely going to talk about the Grammys.
Yes,
Sad that it didn't come home. Well, but I think that Angelique Kidjo did really put in the work.
Oh yeah, she did put in the work. If you're looking at her album, Mother Nature, yeah, it was really a good album. And she's also done still doing Africa proud and Benin very proud. So yesterday at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, the 64th edition of the Grammys was held, and Angelique Kidjo beat the likes of Femi and Madi Kuti, Danny Hole and Friends, together with Wizkid and a host of others, to the category of the best global music album.
Actually had to write it down.
Oh yes, she actually had to write it down. But Chris Alto is also telling Ghanaians that we should be proud of what we have. Well, in the studios of Joy 99.7 FM, he said that if we're calling for change in our movie industry, we should be the change that we want.
What I see is hope. What I see is an industry that cannot be killed. We have too much culture. We have too much culture and too many rich stories. And we have people like myself that are passionate about the industry that would not allow it to die, and that are now better trained to make sure the industry gets to where it needs to get to. I have never left the Ghanaian industry. I just made a film with Famous. I am still working on Dede. I am here.
Okay, good to know that he's around.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Ivy, for
You're
the
welcome.
latest
You're
in
welcome.
showbiz. But that's our show for tonight. Many thanks for your company. Please log on to myjoyonline.com. You find more stories there. Up next is Prime Business with Charles Haiti. Stay tuned.
So, Pate off, and Lakonga is on.